The major theory about the origin of COVID-19 is that the virus jumped to humans from bats. But the lab leak theory remains one that scientists are debating. The host of CNA's In Conversation, Xueling, has been speaking to the World Health Organization's chief scientist, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. Here's part of that exclusive interview.
It's possible that this virus could have come directly from a bat to a human. We know bats are reservoirs of many coronaviruses. It could have come through an intermediate host, some animal, wild animal or domesticated animal, we're not sure. There are other hypotheses on the table that the WHO team that went to China in February 21 put out there, and one was an accidental leak. We know that accidents happen in labs. They've happened in the past, they can happen again. And so that theory also needs to be looked at.
There seems, though, to be a bit of a confusion, because I have the impression that when the WHO talks about a lab leak, that you're actually referring to something which might have happened as an accident during the normal course of studying infectious diseases. Whereas if you are a conspiracy theory person, you're thinking of it as being a mad scientist in a lab genetically engineering something to be infectious to people as a bioweapon. That's a pretty different scenario.
Very different. And I don't think there's been any evidence at all of this conspiracy theory that it was a specially created virus that was then let loose on people. But the accidental laboratory leak could occur from a lab that's doing research on coronaviruses that has these viruses that scientists are working on.
And this is normal research.
Normal research, exactly. And if at some point that comes out of course, it's done very carefully. This kind of research is done in BSL-3 and BSL-4, super secure labs. But as I said, accidents can happen once in a while, and it would be important to determine if this was the case or not.
But that's very different from, let's say, a political blame game where you're trying to say that, the Chinese authorities released this into the environment and, infected everybody and infected the world.
Absolutely. And I think politics has absolutely no place in this, because the science behind this is going to be important for all of us, regardless of which country we live in. This kind of research is done in many countries around the world. The kind of, we've talked about other zoonotic infections which originated from the forests in Africa and then infected human beings. So this can happen anywhere. And it's a global learning that needs to take place. And that's why we need a global scientific effort, which is far removed from politics, which is credible, which is data and evidence-based, and that informs us on the steps that all countries should be taking to prevent this kind of thing from happening again.
You can catch the full exclusive interview with the WHO's chief scientist on tomorrow's edition of In Conversation on CNA. That's 9 p.m. Singapore, Hong Kong time.